Hello friends, in this video we will see what are the cloud pricing models which are available for Azure. Whenever you are preparing for an Azure exam, you also need to consider about the costing. Operational expenditure cost depend on these factors: the resource type, what you are going to use, the consumption, maintenance, and the geography where the services are hosted, the subscription type, whether it is a pay-as-you-go subscription or you have an enterprise subscription, and what kind of discounts you have with your enterprise subscription. And also when you are choosing different services from Azure Marketplace, there might be services which are not available from directly from Azure itself, but there are some services which are offered by third-party vendors like Viata, Commvault, or third-party services, even Salesforce, Oracle. So they provide the services using Azure Marketplace. From there, you will be able to choose their services, which is third-party services, and you will be able to deploy those services using the Azure infrastructure. So when it comes to virtual machine, you can deploy the virtual machine as a single virtual machine, or you can deploy the virtual machine in multiple zones. For example, if this is an application tier and you have some application hosted on this particular virtual machine, you wanted to have zone redundancy, you will deploy two virtual machines, one in AZ1, availability zone 1, and availability zone 2. And you have the load balancer. You have the load balancer here. So when you deploy the virtual machine in two different availability zones, then you will be paying 2 times of the cost. If you are deploying only one virtual machine, then the cost will be 1 time. So this is how the costing works in Azure. So it is based on the resource type, what you are going to select, and how many resources you are going to use for a particular workload or a service. If you are using web app, then you have an option to select the tier. It will start from free, shared, and standard, premium, and isolated tier. So depending upon what you are selecting, what type of SKU you are selecting or SKU you are selecting, based on that you will be charged. If you are selecting free, not all the options will be available when you choose the web app. If you are using shared, you will get some of the options which are available in free, and you will get additional options in shared. Whereas when you select standard and premium, you will get a lot of options to deploy the web application. It might contain the backup option, it might contain the SSL or SSL TSL termination, and also you can integrate with the CDN. So these are the options which you will get based on the tier what you are going to select. When it comes to managed disks, there are multiple types of managed disks which are available. Based on that, you will be charged. We will see with the pricing calculator how these charge are different when you use managed disk. And if you are using Kubernetes as a service, this is the Kubernetes. the number of nodes what you are using, and size of each node, networking cost. So all these are all involved when you select Kubernetes. When you choose directory as a service, container as a service, and database as a service, load balancer as a service, so there will be different cost attached to each of these services. So basically all these costs will depend on the resource type, what you are going to use, and the consumption of all these resources which you are going to provision to your infrastructure, and how you are going to maintain these resources. And also each geography has a different costing. If you are using US as a region, then there will be a different cost for the services which you deploy. If you take example of Europe, then there might be change in the costing. And also subscription type, as I said earlier, pay as you go subscription and enterprise agreement subscription as a different costing method. And Azure Marketplace, as I said, that also comes into picture. So I am into Microsoft Portal, which has this pricing calculator for Azure. You can select the services which you wanted to deploy. For example, if I select the compute option, I can select the virtual machine. If I select the virtual machine, then it is adding the virtual machine. If I select the region, this is basically the geography which I talked earlier. So if you are selecting UK South, then there might be a different pricing. The costing is here. And if you select US, there will be a different cost. And also you can select what operating system you want, Linux or Windows. You can select, there are options which are available from the type of operating system. And here you wanted to select basic tier or standard tier. And also from this queue, you can select how many cores, how many RAM you require for the virtual machine. So based on the size, what you are going to select, the cost will change. So basically, whenever you are checking for any costing part, you need to come to this particular page and select the pricing calculator. So you have option here. Under pricing, you have option to calculate the pricing. You can also calculate the total cost of ownership, and also you can select this option to optimize the cost. So now we are into pricing calculator. So if I select networking, even for the IP address, there is a charge. When you use the virtual network, it doesn't cost anything when you deploy the virtual network on Azure. But when you are using the peering, VNet to VNet peering, then there is a cost. So if you select traffic manager, you can see what is the cost attached to the traffic manager. So there is monthly cost of $70, and I am deploying the traffic manager in East US location. So this is the cost attached to it. So how many DNS queries you wanted to make with the traffic manager, and do you require health check for the traffic manager, and what are the endpoints you wanted to connect, either it is an internal endpoint or an external endpoint. And there are some other options which you can choose. If I select the storage, you'll go to the storage accounts. From the storage account, you can see there are multiple options available. If I select managed disks, then you will be able to see there are different tier under managed disks. There is standard HDD, standard SSD, premium, and ultra disk. So based on the disk type what you are going to select, the cost will differ. For example, if I select ultra disk, it has gone to monthly $5.79. If I select premium SSD, you can see the cost. It is compared to the ultra disk, it is very less. Monthly $5.79 for 4 gig. And if I select premium SSD version 2, the cost per month is only 0.08. That is for the 4 gig of the storage. So this is 1 gig of storage. And you have number of disk. And also you need to remember one thing. Whenever you are selecting the disks, based on the type of disk selection, the minimum storage capacity will differ. So premium SSD version 2, we can use minimum of 1 GB, but when you use ultra disk, so you need to select minimum of 4 gig. So it is starting from the 4 GB, then it goes up incrementing 4 plus 4. If I select web application, then you can select the app services. And you can see what is the cost for the app services per month. And if you are using this size of instance, which is basic instance, if I select the instance size as B3 4 core, then the cost will differ here. If I select premium V3, then the monthly cost is going to change. So this is how you can use the pricing calculator. You can visit this particular website and check for each and every services what will be the costing for each and every services offered by Azure. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please subscribe and share. Thank you and take care.